Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host GamerK, and it's time for another GamerK game reviews. And this one is a game that, all honesty, I may be overboard in my own opinion here when I say that this might be one of the best games I've ever played, especially since it came out last year. And it definitely got me through a lot last year. It's a sequel to one of my favorite games, Judgment. And yeah, it's a Yakuza game spinoff, but god damn, does it keep with what makes a great game. And I may be tooting my own horn by saying that the rating for this might be over exaggerated, but with everything I say in this game, oh my god, I can't even begin to think. This game tackles so much crap that makes you get emotional. It tackles so much realistic shit. And I'm sad that this is the last Judgment game. I mean, hopefully things will pan out and we get a third one. Hopefully, if so. But what makes this game superior to the first game? Well, the first game was really amazing. It hit every note in my, because I never played the Yakuza games, like I said in that game, in that review, which was like last year or something. Yeah, last year. And I felt with tradition, I decided to do the sequel the month after my birthday, or week after my birthday. And it's just such an amazing game. If you're a Yakuza fan and you love detective genres, pick up both games. The first one is fantastic in its setting the score for the first bit of introducing Detective Yagami. And oh my god, the sequel just does it immensely. Starting off, the game forces us to dive in a good couple years after the whole what was it? 89 incident from the first game with the mole, the 89 drug, and the Yakuza members. And I will say this game definitely brings us to another ledge in how dark the series can go. Again, it's a classic beat-em-up game, and you know what, I'm just going to get to the story first. The game starts in the town of, let me see, Yokohama. And one thing I do love about that is that we're not staying in Kamurocho again, because Kamurocho was kind of small, but this new city is so much bigger. It's got a lot more life to it than being a seedy underbelly of Shibuya. But to be honest, you go back and forth between them, and there's new stuff to do in Kamurocho, and there's a brand new world to discover in Yokohama. And I love the scenery of going to a new location, and it's twice as big. So it starts off with a groping case of an ex-police officer who's been accused. And basically, there's a lot of video evidence and physical forensic evidence that he groped a woman on the subway. And then, one more thing. A couple spoilers in this game. Spoilers, do not watch. There may be... I've never had to do this in a video game, in a review. But there is a lot of... Okay, I'm not going to be going over all of it, but there is a lot of mature content in this video when I will be discussing, including some unsavory topics. So if you're offended pretty easily, I would bail out now. But for those of you who are okay, after basically getting his sentence, Ihara, the groper, tells the police about a body of a man named Mikoshiba is in an abandoned warehouse, and the cops find the body, and it's been decaying there for a good long while. Yeah. And not only that, but Yagami is brought in to investigate the claims because Saori, thank you. Oh, I remembered her name. Saori was in charge of the groping case, and now Yagami and Kaito. Oh, Kaito, that big gorilla best friend that everyone has, except for me. They go to Yokohama in order to investigate with the help of Sugihira and Sakamoto, the computer nerd from the first game, and the white crow dude from the first game. They are back, and they injected into their own detective agency in Yokohama and request some help. And we don't get into the groping case / murder case until later in the game. Our first case is to uncover constant serial bullying at what's the academy called? Do I have it here? Nope, I don't have the name of the school, but it's the school itself could be its own level with all the amount of stuff to do, and it's immense. Bullying is a big focal point of this game, and they don't handle it in a way that blatantly ignores it, that blatantly sugarcoats it, like they treat it like a stupid American TV show, a high school show. They deal with it in the same way that a Canadian high school show, Degrassi, would, in the most dark and realistic way possible. And the way we handle the situation is absolutely top-notch. And there are a good number of times when we have to fight the students. So, great. Yagami's already beating up kids. I don't mind in this scenario. But after completing that, after about the first 2 chapters, we are thrusted into the main investigation, where, much like the first game, reveals a whole tangled web of characters, subplots, and even darker meaning between an old suicide attempt decades ago. And I'm going to be 100% honest, this whole game flipped me on it. Not only did it affect me personally, but it affected my mindset of how far they went with this game. And it is absolutely top-notch. The pacing itself just... You know what? I can't even speak about it. How good this game tackles a serious issue that people kind of shrug off, like bullying. And, okay, I don't agree with the methods that are done in the game, but at the same time, it's done great. The way they handle the situation and how we kind of talk about it throughout the game. It's kind of a big, again, that is a big focal point. And not only that, but because of this whole new area, we get a smorgasbord of brand new characters. Some of them are fantastic, some of them are over the top, and some of them are absolutely, I hate them, but at the same time, they kind of win me over a little bit near the end. And I do love that kind of symmetry throughout this game, where the bad guys become the good guys, and then the good guys seemingly are technically the bad guys. It's so amazingly done, and it pretty much has to go to the voice cast. Whoops, my bad. It all has to do with the voice cast, and yeah, I watched the game with the original Japanese dub, and I don't mind it, but I watch enough Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, so I love the English voices. And I have to give out a shout out to this amazing cast We've got Greg Chun reprising his role as Yagami. We've got Crispin Freeman. I'm not going to do what I did because this is a long list. I'm not going to put their faces and everything. Let's see. We got Matthew Young King, Art Butler, Stephanie Shea, Erica Lindbeck, my man Steve Bloom, Mark Wheaton, Sumela Matano, Seungwon Cho, Brent Mukai, Zena Hune, Cassandra Lee Morris. Her voice in this, so two of the people I just said, let's see, Stephanie Shen and Cassandra Lee Morris. For all of you Persona fans, yeah, Haru and Morgana are in this game, and it's done fantastic. Both of their roles are fantastic. Who else? I got you. And the voice that messed me up originally, because I heard the voice coming out of this character, and I'm like, you sound familiar. And then I kind of heard it a little bit more, and I'm like, Todd Haberkorn? You're in this? You know what? I'm just saying, I have the script and the entire cast, and then some, do every role perfectly. Like, I can believe these actors are portraying these characters with so much conviction that I tear up at some points. And that's sad for me, because, yeah, I can be a little crier when it comes to certain games and scenes, but they do it fantastic. And I know I've talked about the story a lot and the main points here and there. So I'm gonna get to forward to the rest of the game. So the main story of Lost Judgment is, if you're good at the boss fights, because again, the boss fights can't be cheesed by leveling up. It can be cheesed by upgrading your abilities and your attacks, but that's not helpful at all. It's like using a wagon to bring stuff up a hill. It helps, but it also doesn't help that there's a snowstorm and everything you do is basically, you have to be... The boss fights in this game test your ability to stay focused and keep your eye on attack movements so you can counter. And for people who play the game and haven't played this one, if you thought the bosses in Judgment 1 is bad, or in Yakuza 0, if you thought those were tough, oh my god, you should be so lucky to think that. The boss fights in this game are ridiculously insane, and I mean that in the best way. And going about the combat, we originally get the Tiger style of fighting, which is fast and furious. We get the Crane, which is all about kicks and jumping around, and we are introduced to the third new one, the Snake, which is fluid movements, but it also allows us to disarm our enemies. And again, the triangle button, the reaction, and they do have reaction commands in this game. And they're not overly used like in some games, but it's done very well in order for cinematic scenes to be done perfectly. And I can't say enough about that. Okay, so going back to my timer, to complete the main game, if you are perfect, it's going to take you about 23 hours to complete the main game. Now, in terms of doing the story, the side missions, the DLC missions, which were free, by the way, which includes the school stories and getting 4 girlfriends to chat with, And don't worry, people, it's not going to be a Persona 5 Christmas Valentine's scenario where if you date all the girls, they're going to find out and they're basically going to beat you up. No, it's nothing like that. And we got one girl who was in the previous game. And yeah, it's been a couple years, so it doesn't feel as creepy. Yeah. But again, the side missions alone, there are 42 42 side missions, and they are from finding out how a book company, their best ideas are being taken without them knowing. Oh my god. Oh, I'm blanking. Oh my god. Anyway, you'll figure it out when you play the game. There are so many side missions split between Kamurocho and Yokohama that backtracking, going back and forth, doesn't feel as annoying as it would in other games where you have to go back and forth between areas in order to do side missions. But the side missions go from hilarious to dark to funny again to serious. And it's done in one of the best ways possible. But that's the Yakuza series. That you get your nitty gritty, you get your dark, and then you get your comical. Like, I remember in Yakuza 0, they had one where you're helping out a dominatrix become more dominant, and yeah, why wasn't something like that in one of these? Although, knowing my luck, my family would be walking down as I'm doing those missions, and they would look at me shocked. Yeah. Anyway, like I'm saying, in order to complete the game, plus the numerous side missions, plus all the mini games, I'll get to those in a minute, it's going to take you 51 and a half hours. Yeah. So, and for completionists, which even I'm not this big of a glutton, could take you to 101 hours of gameplay. And if you complain that there's not enough in this game to keep you entertained, yeah, you need to shut up and play the game. You're too stuck with linear games. So the combat in the game is fantastic. It works real well. The detective portion of the game's it's still there in a majority of missions and side missions, but overall it's not as, it's still done, especially the parts where you're in a situation and you select the evidence, much like Ace L.A. Noire and Ace Attorney. You have to remember the dialogue and the situation that's going on and present the correct evidence. But it's not like a CSI game where you will miss a piece of evidence and you have to go back and check everything out again. It's nothing like that. But it's done more of a backseat thing than a front seat thing. In the main driver's seat. Which I'm not mad at, because when a game kind of overtakes a little bit in a certain scenario, in a certain gameplay mechanic, it kind of frustrates me half the time. So it's well balanced is what I'm basically saying between the combat and the investigation things. Speaking of investigation, we get 3 new ways to investigate things. We've got the microphone, where we'll be looking for where we'll be listening to conversations from afar. We'll have the bug detector, which will help us locate bugs and transmission devices. And we have a cute little doggo who we will take for walks, and he will find items for us and track down scents, which I do like, because the city is so vast, it does help. Plus, we have our drone, which is absolutely fantastic, and the drone races and the drone battles are absolutely a good fun time, and it's enjoyable fully. So, going back to the story a little bit, we uncover this whole thing about previous bullies from years ago to another serial killer, big shock, to a corruption, to a new evil gang member, a new gang that is absolutely ruthless. And it also discusses a hint of suicide a little bit. So that's what I was talking about. If you're a little squeamish in that, then I would avoid this game. I know it's talked about and it's shown a little bit, like they don't full blown show it, but it's still enough to kind of hurt even some of the most hardcore gamers half the time. And it leads to this chain of corruption that the entirety of the Ahara trial kind of forces something else to come out into the shadows, and it's done seamlessly. It never feels... You know how in some games, a big threat will come out of nowhere, and it just feels like it was shoved in there last minute, and there's no real flow with it from the beginning of the game to the middle, and the ending is just kind of there for the sake of ending it. It all feels like I said about the first game, a great crime thriller where every chapter connects to every little bit of information that we've been gathered, and it accumulates into this massive conspiracy, and I love it. And I didn't see it coming. So I'm not going to spoil it for people. Let's see. So yeah, it keeps the entire investigation section of the main story keeps you guessing, and all the other stories in the game keep you guessing as well, because a good majority of them do accumulate. And like I said before, the voice actors in this game are superb. And I also got to give a notch to the Japanese voice actors in this game. Even though I don't play with the Japanese settings, I got to give you guys a round of applause, because this is so entertaining. It's so thrilling. It's like I'm watching another Japanese crime show, and I love it. So keep it up, you guys. You guys at... Hang on, I want to get this name right. At Sega and... Hang on, I want to get this right. Ryuga Gotoku Studio. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this name. I give you guys mad props for this game and the first game. But this game, you guys freaking hit your stride with this. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's see what else. Okay, so I basically talked about the side missions. I basically talked about the main plot. I talked about some of the characters. I talked about the combat. And now it's time for one of the best things that the Yakuza games and Judgment is known for, are all the mini games. Normally, I hate mini games if they're not done right, but this game, they took everything that was in Judgment, and even though there wasn't that much, and took a majority of what was in Yakuza 0 from my memory of it, and they just mished it all, added some new stuff, and oh my freaking god! I need my list here of all the stuff that we can do. We've got arcade games, which is beautifully done. Like, there's so many different arcade games. The batting cage. We can play darts at a bar. We play mahjong, shogi. I kind of avoid shogi a good number of times because it's really difficult for me. Koi Koi, which I've pretty much become a master at by now. The VR game, which is this really cool virtual reality dice board game, and it's super fun, especially since it's part of one of the side missions where you play as virtual copies of all your characters from the first game, and it's... I can't tell you enough of how amazing it is that they did a big throwback there. And the guy leading it is this guy that we constantly screwed over in the first game. So that makes it hilarious. damn, for the life of me, I can't remember any of the side missions outside of the ones I'll be talking about in a sec. There's also, oh, they removed the alcohol building tolerance thing because there was that one Maid Cafe side mission where we needed to increase our alcohol tolerance, which we could only do by leveling up. So they got rid of that. But the alcohol level there still works and still gives us those fun drunk fighting styles. We got drone racing. We got blackjack. We got poker. What else? Oh, in one of the girlfriend storylines, there's 4 added in DLC. I'm going to be talking about the DLC here because it's basically a big part of the game and it was given free. So yes, get it immediately. It's the girl whose twin brother, they were being attacked by the perverted trio. And now they're a freaky quartet because the big new dude with the mask, they're back and... oh dear God, fighting these guys, I don't even know what to say to this. I really don't. And then we have, quite possibly, my favorite part of this game, outside of the main story and the boss fights, are the school mysteries, which is amazing. After you complete Chapter 2, a student who basically runs a mystery lovers club in school because, you know, and she really loves Sherlock Holmes. She asked us to investigate a good majority of school clubs who somehow have linked to this mysterious figure, the professor, which somehow leads students into being delinquents in one way or another. So the first one we have to do is the dance troupe, because one of them is being a sugar babe. So basically, yeah, that's basically a cute way of saying a non-sex prostitute basically just dates guys and older guys and gets money. And I do enjoy the stories because they're not so stupid that I lose interest, but leveling them up is amazing. And all of them have their own brand of minigame. And I'm going to tell you them because, oh my God, if the main story and the side missions and everything else about this game doesn't get you hooked, the stories in the school will definitely make you love them. But one little tip that I had to learn the hard way: don't try to complete one story first, because it's impossible. Because in order to progress throughout the club stories, you're gonna have to level up your certain I want to call this a stat bar, because each club will increase your certain stats, and the higher your stat is, the more you can continue within a certain group. And I'm going to say something I've never said in a video game, ever. Never, ever, ever, ever have I ever said this in a video game about a certain type of minigame, because I've hated them for a good long while until now. Starting off, we've got the dance club, where we do dance routines to different music, about 4 different songs. And yeah, it's basically a rhythm game where Yagami incorporates some martial arts, and it's basically a better version of the mini games in Atlantica and Kingdom Hearts 2. Man, I really bring that level up a lot because it's so bad. But Yagami incorporates some martial arts moves into the dance sequences, and yeah, basically you got to get enough points to pass the clear mark. And seeing Yagami, this badass with a leather jacket, dancing with these high school girls in such an amazing way, it's wonderful. I'm going to reload Lost Judgment and go on my old file and just replace these mini games, because there's some of the best mini games I've ever played in a video game, and I'm not bullshitting. Not only that, but we're basically going through a like, the whole point of the school mysteries is that we infiltrate all of these different clubs in order to get evidence on the professor who is leading these kids into some form of delinquency, and we end up helping them a majority. And there's always bigger problems to deal with too. And I really enjoy that they don't make them so stupid, but they implement a big threat in each club, which is amazing. I can't compose myself anymore. These side missions and these mini games are absolutely fantastic. And there is a store in a corner of Yokohama where you will have to get different outfits for each song, because you will have to do the big performance. And it's just good fun. I'm not gonna lie. A rhythm game about dancing with high school girls is absolutely hilarious and fun. Yeah, and then we have the robotics club where we help them build. I mean, it's not a fighting one, but we do get to implement different parts into the robots and win this competition and basically help the team become one again. And it's done really well. It's got like every single bit of these clubs have that classic high school drama from TV shows and everything, but it's done in a way that is actually meaningful. Like, it's not this whole bullshit and then 2 seconds later they kiss and make up. No, it's absolutely realistic, and I love it. So yeah, this mini game with the robots, it's basically capture the flag. We have control of 3 robots, well, 1 robot, and the other 2 are programmed depending on what computer we go, if they're more focused on getting terrain or attacking the enemy. And we got lasers, we've got hammers, we've got drills, we've got a whole different types of robot body types. So customizing them and finding parts will be up to you in order to progress throughout, because the challenges get a lot difficult as the story progresses. And then at the final part, we get a specialty robot that is amazing. So basically, we collect these pieces, these hologram pieces in the stadium, and we build a path connecting our base in order to, it's basically covering up the field in a certain amount of time. Or it's like Dungeon Dice Monsters, if people can remember that. If you can get from your end of the board and connect the pieces to your opponent's base, then you instantly win. So it's either territory control until time runs out while defeating the opponent's robots, or create a path and instant win. And it's done superbly. Like, creating these robots and creating all these different parts and components, you feel like you're a part of the team, and you feel like because I was never, I'm not a big tech geek or anything like that, or I wasn't in that many clubs in high school. I mean, to be fair, my high school didn't have any really good clubs or anything, but these stories and infiltrating these clubs, it makes you feel like you're in high school again a little bit and enjoying the camaraderie and doing all these activities. And then we've got boxing, where a delinquent student is supposedly beating the crap out of innocent people, and we have to progress. It's almost like Cobra Kai in a way, but with boxing. And the boxing minigame is absolutely perfect. It's not just button mashing. You have to strategically use Yagami to do certain blocks, jabs in certain succession, and it all just feels right. And then we have a Mario Kart themed biker gang story mission where a valedictorian is now the leader of a biker gang, and we have to beat all of his lieutenants. It's almost Fast and the Furious a little bit. I like how every single how every bit of this game takes reference from a lot of pop culture, and I love it. So, yeah, you can customize your own bike. You can upgrade it with different frames, different colors. You can customize it the way you want it, and it's just flat out amazing. And then we've got the photo club, where we gotta get photo evidence of students behaving badly outside and make them repent. Yeah, that one's a little okay. Then we have the skaters, who are a group of delinquents who are kind of taking on another skater group. Yeah, and we do have to do a skateboard mini game where we have to do tricks and grind the rails, go up the ramps. It's almost what Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3 have with the skateboard thing, but this is done 100% better. We've got the esports. There's an esports where apparently one member is cheating in professional tournaments, and we actually the one thing I love about this game is that there's video games within this video game, and this is an actual video game. It is called Virtual Fighter 5, where we can go here, pick our character, and it's basically Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur kind of fighting. And it's just stupid playing a video game within a video game. But it's all good fun, and it's fantastic. A good majority of these stories don't implement the professor, but at the same time, yeah, I kind of saw what was going to happen a little bit. Then we have the casino, which we basically have to find this teenager who's in the casino and find out how she's winning the game, which it doesn't take that much to do. It's basically an easy one. Doesn't really have anything to do with the professor. Then we've got the girl bar, where someone used the professor's name at a girl bar, and before we can talk to the main girl, we have to get in good with the other three by talking to them. And it's great. And then throughout these missions, the gang that was a big threat in the first game, the Kaheen gang, they return, and they're under the employ of the professor, basically. And remember how I said near the end of the game, of the last game, everyone in Kamurocho we befriended through the side missions, and the main game kind of help us throughout the whole friends are my power thing? Well, that's done here. After we complete all of the missions, we get the final mission of the school stories. And everyone joins in, and it's absolutely great. It's hilarious. It's joyful. It's a freaking tastic. And I can't even think of a gripe about this game. I can't. Other people may say it's an game, but for me, this game is fantastic. The story is very adult. It gets the point across. And this is one of those games where the villain is somewhat right, but at the same time, they're wrong. And I'm not spoiling anything about this. But, yeah, Lost Judgment does everything the first game does, and then some. Everything that makes the Yakuza games fantastic is that amazing and comical characters within an amazing world with a very serious undertone half the time, with suspenseful moments, action, comedy, sorrow in a majority of places. I may be tooting my own horn and going overboard with the rating at this moment, but for me, I don't care. This is my rating. And this is one of the best games I've ever played where I had no complaints. I had no problems. I had absolutely nothing negative to say. So, that's basically it. GamerK's final verdict for Lost Judgment is, I think, a first for me. It is an absolute 10 out of 10. I mean, yeah, again, it's everything it does is fantastic. The gameplay is fantastic. The story is so real and it's so impactful. The side stuff gets a good laugh and gives you that adrenaline rush half the time. The combat is fluid and perfect. There's barely any hiccups. And everything else they added into this game is just gravy. But what I was originally going to give Judgment after when I played it a 9. But when I factor in the amazing school stories that seamlessly tie into the main story and the whole focus. Oh, I just remembered some of the side missions. I know it's a little late, but we have to deal with this anti-detective who's a blackmailer and everything. We got to track him down. There are a lot of school stories that are absolutely enjoyable. But yeah, Lost Judgment is a true hidden gem of a game. And I know that if people take the time to play the first game and then come to this one, it's gonna be an experience that is absolute. It's a crime if you miss it. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me next week where I end the month by trying to redo a video that got blocked because of copyright claims. But I'm gonna try it again and edit it out. And join me next time where I retry to show you some of my favorite openings from anime. This is GamerK, logging out.